What's up, guys? I recently just got the Nightmare on Elm Street Steelbook box set with the first 7 movies in 4K. They look glorious, so I thought, what better time than to review one of the movies and give you the revisited treatment. So, the one that's on my mind lately is Dream Master, and I'm really looking forward to getting into this one with you guys. So, I give you a Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4, The Dream Master Revisited. Let's go. A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4, The Dream Master, stars Lisa Wilcox Tuesday night and is directed by Rennie Harlan. What's up, guys? For revisited reviews, I usually don't give you the actors and the director at the beginning, but it has been so long, maybe freaking nine years at least, since I reviewed the Nightmare movies, that, I felt like I just needed to do it again. This feels like I'm reviewing it for the first time just because it's been so freaking long. And it's been a long time since I watched Dream Master. Haven't seen this movie probably since I reviewed it. Just watched it recently. And I watched the 4K from the box set. And let me just say, if you're on the fence about getting the box set, and that one's already sold out, the Steelbook. But, just buy the regular edition. They look amazing. And I think Part 4 might be one of the better transfers. And I did do a comparison between the Blu-ray and the 4K. And boy, is it, I don't want to say night and day, but you can definitely notice a difference. As a matter of fact, this movie, watching it on 4K, looked like a brand new movie. That's how great it freaking looked. It looked like it could have came out like, in 2025. And I don't remember where I put Dream Master on my ranking when I ranked the movies, but I'll tell you right now, it probably would go up a notch or two. I really enjoyed watching it this time. I've even heard some people state that this movie's better than Dream Warriors. Is it? I don't know. I think it's the one that feels the most like Dream Warriors, and you have characters from Dream Warriors that weren't finished off by Freddy brought over into this movie, and they're the first victims. It is interesting that so many victims were left alive in a Nightmare movie, because usually, or just any slasher movie, if you're lucky enough to make it out of a slasher movie, then you've done something right. And there's usually only one person, the final girl, that makes it out. And if 2, then that's really a rarity. But here you got freaking 3 characters, maybe more, that actually made it out of Dream Warriors. So before we dig deep into the revisited, let's give you a quick plot synopsis on what this movie is actually about. We're smack dab in the middle of the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. We know what Freddy Krueger does. He wants to kill all the Elm Street children. And that is kind of a pivotal antidote of this movie, because after he's done with the Elm Street children, then what does he do? So then you have this character, Alice, played by Lisa Wilcox. She is sort of a tool for Freddy to bring other victims that aren't the Elm Street kids. And I guess she has this power where she's able to actually bring others into her dream.
Freddy. Enough with that crap! I saw it. It was my dream. I brought Sheila in.
I sometimes get her power and Kristen's power confused, because Kristen has that power as well to pull people into her dream. I think the difference here is Alice is needed by Freddy, whereas Kristen isn't needed by Freddy. So he doesn't really want to even kill Alice, sort of like Jesse. I'd say Alice is more similar to Jesse in that regard than she is to Kristen. But Alice definitely has the arc of this movie as well, because she starts off as this very introverted, loner type character. She doesn't even have a mirror to look at. She's got a mirror, but it's covered with photos of like her friends and family and whatnot. And as the movie goes along, you see her start building her strength. And every time Freddy takes out one of her friends, she takes their picture off of the mirror and she sees a little bit more of herself that has to come out and fight Freddy once and for all. And after I watched this movie, I kind of had this realization, like, this could literally be a standalone Nightmare movie, meaning that you don't necessarily need the previous movies. The previous movies almost feel like they could be a prequel to this movie. And I know technically that's the truth, but I'm just stating that if somebody were to sit down and watch this movie without having seen the previous movies, because of the information that is presented in Dream Master, you don't really need to watch anything. We find out who Freddy Krueger is somewhere in the middle of the movie because Dan and Rick, they have a conversation about Freddy and who he is and why he does what he does.
So, a lot of parents got pissed off. And, according to Chris, they hunted him down and roasted him like a Thanksgiving turkey. She says that he comes back in dreams, and if he kills you in your dream, you're dead for real.
So that pretty much gives the audience everything they need to know. And this movie is sort of like a bridge. I call this the New Hope of the franchise. Star Wars: The New Hope is literally part 4 of the franchise. It's sort of a new beginning for the franchise. Well, Dream Master is sort of that thing too. It's sort of the bridge between the old and the new, the Elm Street kids and the new kids. So I dug that about Dream Master. I think that's really cool. And you know what? I've never really thought so heavily about this movie until this recent watch. And there's a lot of cool themes in Dream Master that kind of separate it from the rest of the franchise. I guess you could say there's everything before Dream Master and then everything after Dream Master. And I do think this is where the franchise sort of like crescendoed, because then 5 and 6, in my opinion, are really, really bad movies. 5 is like the LSD movie is what I call it. Like you have to be on mushrooms to really appreciate part 5. Yeah, there's fans of all these movies, okay? Even Freddy's Dead. But this is just my opinion. I do think Dream Master is where we kind of crescendo. Now, I absolutely love the opening of this movie and really just the overall like look of it, the cinematography of it. It's just very bright, like MTV-ish. There's a lot of bright colors in the movie, even more than Dream Warriors. And I think maybe that's why the 4K presentation benefits this movie so much. But you have that awesome opening where you see this sort of montage with the title credits over them, and it's this child doing the, I guess the sidewalk hopscotch with the chalk, and you don't quite make out what exactly it is at first until the camera kind of pulls back, and then you see what it is. And then we have Kristen, played by Tuesday Knight, coming into the picture because Patricia Arquette pretty much went on to bigger and better things at this point. If you watch the behind the scenes on this, you'll get a few different answers as to why she didn't come back. Maybe she wasn't even like offered it. Who knows? I would like to think she was, but you know, I think some actors, when they do horror movies to begin with, once they get their foot into the non-horror door and it's something that's not B-movie-ish, they usually never look back. There's only a very few Jamie Lee Curtises out there. As much shit as we give Jamie Lee Curtis, I have to give her credit. She could have left Halloween a long time ago, but she chose to come back and honor the franchise at multiple points. Yeah, there was a monetary benefit, of course. You know, she's a very savvy businesswoman, but still, I do think there is some love there. Whereas Patricia Arquette, I don't really see her giving too much love to Nightmare on Elm Street. I don't know. But eventually, you know, she's going through the Elm Street house, Nancy's house. She's in the dream world, and then she brings in Joey and Kincaid, calling them to help her in the dream.
Dragging us in here?
Yeah, cut it out. You're putting one serious dent in my beauty sleep.
I remember when I was a kid, I was always jealous of Joey's hair in this movie. I think this was a point where a lot of actors were starting to grow out their hair a little longer. It was kind of like the cool-looking mullet. And that's what Joey was doing. But I loved his hair. And I definitely was trying to copy the Joey look. If I can find this picture, I'll dig it up and I'll throw it here. This was when I was 15 years old, and I sort of had the Joey hair. Of course, his was longer. But Kincaid, although he's gone quickly in this movie, he's still a pivotal character because he is the initial death that brings Freddy back, because you got the dog by the name of Jason that comes and pisses on the grave and brings Freddy back. Now, if you wanted to dig deeper into that, you could call it the Hounds of Hell. The Hounds of Hell, they're able to bring Freddy back. The practical effects that they show, you can tell it's in reverse, showing Freddy's body starting to come to life again. That's one thing I love about the Nightmare franchise. The practical effects in most of these movies, especially the earlier ones, is just fantastic. Why they chose not to use practical effects for everything in the remake, even though I have a soft spot for the remake, I will still admit this franchise is known for practical effects, so why not keep using them? But very quickly, and I do love that sequence, he's in that junkyard, with all the cars. That's just production value. When you look at a scene like that and you see the work that went into it, it looks like it's on some sort of backlot where they had all these cars. I don't know, maybe they actually found a freaking dump yard to do the scene in. I don't think so. But it just looks very A-level, I guess, as far as horror budgets go. But Kincaid, he's gone. He's out of the picture.
I'll see you in hell.
Tell him Freddy sent you.
And then we have Joey. I think some people would complain that why do they kill the three remaining so quickly? But when you have so many characters and you're trying to introduce new characters, I got to give Dream Master credit. I think it does it pretty efficiently. I think it might have been cool to let one of them live throughout the whole movie and maybe help out. I think Joey should have lived throughout all of this movie, but he was just too horny. Freddy knows what to use against Joey. And the waterbed sequence must have been fun to shoot. Although behind the scenes, they say that was a very stressful shoot for the waterbed just because of the logistics of it and all. I would imagine shooting any of these movies is a stressful situation just because you can see the work that goes into Nightmare movies and all the Nightmare sequences. And I'm imagining very, very long hours. And eventually he's able to take out Kristen as well. Shot on the beach. Very reminiscent of Jaws, except for the fin. It's Freddy's glove coming through the sand. I think the biggest contribution that Tuesday Night gave to this movie was the song, that opening song. It's a great freaking song. It really is. And that's not to knock her. I think it's just her character didn't have that much to do. She's kind of the Jamie Lloyd of this movie. And speaking of Jamie Lloyd and Halloween, this movie came out the same year as Halloween 4. And the writer's strike was going on when they were making this movie. So what did that mean? They didn't really have a finished script when they were shooting the movie. I think they had an overall idea. But Renny Harlin had to come up with a lot of the Nightmare sequences in the movie. And luckily, he stated that because of his childhood, he was able to conjure up a lot of really cool sequences. So I think it worked. I think the Nightmare franchise is a pretty easy franchise script-wise if you can come up with the Nightmare sequences first and then kind of form your story around that. You have the makings of a good movie. But Renny Harlin was broke as hell when he got this job. He had done the movie Prison before this. But he pretty much begged his way into the door, and Bob Shaye turned him down over and over and over again. But then eventually he had to let him because he couldn't find anybody else to direct the movie that they wanted to pay that much. They were looking for young, hot directors. That's their words. I think the other word they forgot to mention was cheap. They wanted really cheap directors, and that's how they got Renny Harlin. But I can imagine the risk that was taken because, he hadn't really proved himself yet. He was wearing the same clothes every day when he came in. And they even said he had an odor problem. So I would be pretty scared, too, to put all my ducks in that basket. Or is it eggs? Eggs in the basket? Can I say ducks? Whatever. So now with the three originals out of the way, then we move into the new cast. Lisa Wilcox playing Alice. I love Alice as a character.
I can think of how sick I am watching you drink your life away and taking it out on me.
I say I prefer Alice over Kristen. I think she's a great character. You can't help but root for her. And I think this movie sets all that up. That arc, that great arc that she has, I think it's so relatable. A lot of people can relate to not being able to come out of their own skin, being introverted, especially horror fans. And so we identify with that. And I think that's why we love Alice so much. And then she ends up getting to be this freaking Sigourney Weaver type, just a badass type character. And she's able to use attributes from all of her friends and able to fight Freddy. And really, I think once you get into the new cast, I think that's where the dream sequences really start taking flight, getting even more creative. You got the one character that is afraid of bugs, and of course, Freddy uses that against her, and it might be one of the most ambitious. And it's one of those dream sequences where it could go either way. It could be way too silly for its own good, or it could be completely freaking awesome. And luckily, it went the other direction and was awesome. The practical effects are quite amazing in that sequence, especially when you got Freddy picking up the trap and just squeezing it. Just very inventive dream sequences. And I would even say this movie might have, pound for pound, the most really great ones. Let me know what you guys think in the comments on that one. Now, as many great ones as it has, it does have some really sucky ones too, like the one with Rick and he's doing the karate. Originally, they were wanting to do some sort of like elevator type sequence that was a lot more ambitious, but they ran out of money. And they ran out of time, so they had to throw something together real quick, and they didn't even have Freddy in the scene. It was just like a ghost Freddy kicking his ass. Or not a ghost, but you just couldn't see him. Now, Dan is a pretty popular character in the franchise as well. He is one of the few guys that's actually able to make it out of a movie and get killed in the next movie. Lisa has the hots for Dan pretty early on in the movie.
You know, you are one major league hunk.
Eventually, they end up getting together, and Dan's just kind of like the guy that's there to help her throughout. You got that one sequence where it's kind of like the time loop sequence where they keep circling back to the same thing, which is a really inventive dream sequence. Now, before we go any further, this is a good moment to mention Vinnie Vincent Invasion. I'm a massive Kiss fan. There is a tie between Vinnie Vincent and Kiss because Vinnie Vincent was the guitarist that took over for Ace Frehley. And I have my Ace Frehley shirt on here. Isn't that shirt freaking awesome? Yeah, this is recorded a couple weeks after Ace passed away. But I've always had a soft spot for Vinnie Vincent. I love his style of playing. After he left Kiss, and my two favorite Kiss albums are the Vinnie Vincent Kiss albums, Creatures of the Night and Lick It Up. Vinnie Vincent cannot be contained, even by Kiss. And so eventually they let him go, or he quit the band, and then he formed Vinnie Vincent Invasion. And the second album, All Systems Go, has the song Love Kills on it, which is in this movie, which is a great freaking song.
So long since I've waited to live again. You brought my world to an end.
That whole album is fantastic. Check it out if you haven't. That Time of Year is another freaking amazing song. But the timing could not have been better. 1988 is when All System Go comes out. And this song is in Dream Master, and Dream Master is just like the MTV type movie. It's just a marriage made in heaven. And really, a lot of the music in this movie is just great. So now let's talk about, I guess, the big showdown with Alice and Freddy. And by the way, Freddy Krueger, I haven't talked about Robert Englund as much in this. I don't think this is his strongest performance. We can even state that Dream Warriors is where Robert Englund started kind of switching gears, I guess. I think Dream Warriors is the perfect balance of serious Freddy and comedic one-liner Freddy. He is full-on one-liners in this movie, but his look is flat-out amazing.
How sweet, fresh meat.
He just looks so damn awesome in this movie. I think they got the makeup perfect. But you can't deny the one-liners. As annoying as they can be, they're really solid. You know, like how sweet, fresh meat, tell them Freddy sent you. There's probably a dozen great one-liners in this movie. And if not one-liners, just cool scenes with Freddy, like with the pizza scene where you got like all his victims' heads in the pizza and he like pokes their head like sausage with his knives. Just great stuff. Freddy is fun in this movie. And if you have to commit to fun Freddy, I think Dream Master is the movie to do it. I prefer serious, dark Freddy, of course, but I can't deny Freddy is entertaining in this movie. I hate him in Freddy's Dead. I think that movie just goes way off a cliff. But this one, I think, is the perfect balance of comedic Freddy. Freddy is not really scary in this movie at all, though. And behind the scenes, Robert Englund himself even stated that his heart was not in it by this time. I can't speak for the movies after this, but he stated that he had a lot of things going on in his life when he did part 4. Yeah, he just wasn't what he was, like, say, in Dream Warriors. And there's even, like, funny behind-the-scenes stories, like when Freddy's sitting in the makeup chair, and they basically had to literally, like, shut his mouth to keep him from talking so they could do the work, because you cannot shut Robert Englund up when you sit him in a makeup chair. You just can't. But I absolutely love that whole sequence with Alice and Freddy. And it does go on for quite a while, you know, starting in like the movie theater, which is a really cool scene, how she ends up going into the movie screen. I still don't know how in the hell they shot that and made it look so freaking believable. In every movie, they have to come up with a new way to kill Freddy. You don't want to repeat it, so they got to figure out a way to kill him. And in this one, it was basically like a divine intervention type thing where the souls basically just rip Freddy to shreds. Alice does have this tool that she uses, which is able to, I guess, release them, because she's able to give Freddy victims, but she uses that power against Freddy by releasing the souls. And you know what? You really don't have to overthink the way they kill Freddy in all these movies. You just kind of accept it, right? And if anything, it is an ambitious scene, and behind the scenes, the effects that they used, even like these, like this gigantic Freddy torso with actual people behind it, one of them being Linnea Quigley, being naked and having to push their, you know, body, pushing out of Freddy's chest. I can imagine when they got done shooting this movie, they must have been exhausted though. But it really made bank at the box office and just really solidified the franchise. Freddy was already popular at that point, but Dream Master really sent him into like everybody's home. You started seeing trick-or-treaters going out like Freddy. You saw Freddy popping up on like talk shows and whatnot. He was everywhere, and he was starting to get like overexposed, oversaturated. But overall, I am definitely giving this one a high purchase worthy. I had such a blast with Dream Master. I'm glad I went back and revisited it. That's hard to say. Yeah, it's always fun to do these revisited reviews. I know I'm a little late on this one. I try to get one out a month. So let me know down in the comments if you want me to do Friday next. Maybe I'll do another Friday movie. Maybe I'll just kind of like alternate them. Also, subscribe to the channel. If you've made it this far in the review, subscribe to the channel, please. I'm trying to get to 100,000 subscribers by the end of 2026, and I need your help, okay? So be a part of something, damn it. Also, don't forget to subscribe to Drumdums Xtra, my second channel, where I have my live stream clips, drum boxes, out-of-the-box type content. Be sure to come over to Killer Flicks, where we talk horror all day and every day, and on Fridays, we do FIFA Fridays. Follow me Drumdums on the social, support me on Patreon, become a channel member, buy me a coffee. You know, guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a good day. Drumdums.